Grow your Megatron figure a few inches with this simple step. This is a GT Universe Megatron from the Transformers Legacy line.
You're an idiot, Starscream.
I've had this lying around for a while, so let's review it. Here we have our little dude, we can tickle him. Some really cool artwork up here at the top. I like how you can clearly tell this is his blaster. The rest of the artwork does look really cool though, and I definitely think that this is the silliest looking Megatron figure, or at least one of the silliest. Quick look at the side and other side. Quick look at the back, not to three side onions. Now let's carefully open this up. Not yet. So here we have our figure in all its glory, or lack of glory, because this figure feels really cheap. As in the quality of the figure and its plastic doesn't feel too great. In fact, it feels almost bootleggy. Regular Transformers figures like in the deluxe class range tend to have a pretty decent plastic quality feeling to them. This doesn't. I do have the Legacy Core Class Optimus, and the plastic quality on this figure is definitely a lot better than whatever the hell this is. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of the Core Class figures, but I'm gonna put that bias aside so I can review this figure and be somewhat more fair. Now, taking a look at the head sculpt, it's done very well, very G1 Megatron-like. Since it is a pretty simple head sculpt, I imagine it was pretty easy to get this good of a head sculpt in this size. You do get some of his nice red eyes in there. Now, turning the head over to the back, it is kind of hollow, and it looks very ugly in my opinion. You can also kind of see a face there. You also get some hollow bits for where the treads are. These core class figures tend to have a lot of hollow bits on them. The Optimus also has it, and I don't like that. But coming back to the front, while I do think the paintwork on here is silly, I do kind of like it. There was an original Generation 2 release with this color scheme of Megatron, and then there was like another Earthrise release, and then we get this. I do feel like the head being a different color to the rest of the figure really throws it off. The original G2 release was like that as well. That doesn't mean it was a good idea, but I do like the rest of this green and purple color scheme. It just looks silly, and I like that. You do also get pretty decent detail work going on throughout the figure. For a figure this small, the detail on the treads is done really well. You do get that G2 Decepticon insignia. I love that. Some nice detail up on the shoulders and the rest of the arms on the side as well as the front. I don't like how this kind of covers the hands. I do like this abdomen area with the silver and orange colors on there. I think it's done pretty well. You have his fusion cannon with some nice detail on it. It looks pretty cool, I think. On this side of the arms do look kind of ugly with the hollow bits and this peg sticking out, which is for the transformation. This part of the arm, however, doesn't have any of that ugly hollowness over here, just over there. Down to the rest of the legs, pretty simple. Looking not too bad on this side, but I will say when you turn him over, this looks pretty horrendous. You have some hollow bits and it just looks really ugly. Now, if we take a look at his backpack, it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, where else are you going to put it? Aesthetically, for a budget $10 core class figure, it doesn't look too bad. Here he is next to the Optimus Prime. As you can see, they're both core class figures. Here he is next to his larger counterpart, and as you can see, they're both Megatron figures. He does come with a blaster. It does have hollow bits on it. It kind of reminds me of the gun G1 Megatron turns into. That's probably what they were going for.
I'm the world's greatest detective.
And it looks alright, nothing entirely too special. And it fits in his hand pretty well. Now this weapon can go on the back in any of these two slots over here, so we can just place it on there. And what's also really cool with the weapons for the core class figures, they are compatible with the larger figures. So you can have other figures hold them, and they hold them pretty well. Very impressed by that. Now we can take something like this, attach it there, take this and put that on the end of it. Wonderful, look at that. If only growing a few inches longer was that easy. Now in terms of this figure's articulation, let's take a look at it. We can get the head to spin a full 360. It is kind of hard to do, there we go. My fingers aren't that nimble. The arms are on a ball joint, so you can bring them forward, but because of this backpack, it is going to be limited. If we can, let's move that out of the way for now. We can bring it forward up there, and then bring it back out to the side. This elbow is also on a ball joint, so you can bend it up there, and give it a rotation. As I said earlier, no hand movement. In terms of a waist rotation, we do get a full 360 waist rotation. A ball joint on the leg, so you can bring them out, bring them to the side, and bring them back. You get a knee bend, and that's about it. We will see if the figure deserves a hammer later. Now, both of the legs on my copy of the figure are a bit loose, and so is this arm for some reason. Every time I try to bring it up, it just kind of goes down like that. And then the shoulder piece does get in the way of the cannon. So at least on my copy of the figure, posing him is kind of annoying. Now what you can do for extra posability is we can just untab that, so you can get a slightly wider range of motion. Now to transform the figure, it is pretty simple. The first thing I like to do is untab the shoulder pieces, come down to the waist, rotate it 180 degrees to where the legs are now backwards. We're going to come to his cannon and then rotate that 180 degrees. And now for the arm, this back section needs to be rotated to the front. The easiest way to do that is to grab his hand and hold on here and rotate that all the way around. Now that we've done that, we can turn the figure over, untab this back section, and bring it all the way up to the front. Now we're going to take both of these arms and bring them in over, and they should click into place. Let's align that up. Do the same with this arm, bring it over, and then rotate this part of the arm to where this peg is facing in, and tab that into place to the cannon, just like so. Now we're going to come down to the legs. We'll bring this out and bring them in, just like so. A little bit hard to see, but this does tap into this slot over there. Bring that in in, make sure that tabs into place, and then make sure this tabs into this half. Come over and do the exact same thing on this side. Go ahead and bring that all into place and make sure everything is tabbed in. Now finally, we're going to take his blaster and place that in there. And there is the vehicle mode for this figure. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. It doesn't look too great. The robot mode on this figure, pretty good looking. The vehicle mode, not the best. From the front though, I will say it looks pretty good. From the back, that's kind of where it falls apart. Like, what the hell am I looking at? The feet are clearly visible and it throws me off. Now, I will admit, a lot of the tank details do come out pretty well in the vehicle mode. Once again, I do like the treads, and you can see some tiny bits of detail all throughout the figure. I do think that is really nice. Once again, the G2 Decepticon insignia. Some more nice detail up at the front we didn't get to see earlier. I think all the detail does look pretty good. And then here's a look at the underneath for those who are curious. Now we can get silly once again and attach all this back on. And now we have a more menace. Can't forget this. Now we have a more menacing looking tank. The figure isn't that bad, so it's spared from the hammer. It shines mostly in the robot mode. Do I recommend it? I don't know. I don't care what you do with your life. Goodbye.